So this is the S510 Carbine Super-Lite by Air Arms. It was made in 2016, so it's not new. It's a nice looking bit of kit, and I'm going to test it out. Hello and welcome to the Gun Locker. I'm Mark, and in front of me is the S510 from Air Arms. It's the Carbine Super-Lite in .177 and the sub 12 foot-pound version. Now, like I said in the intro, this isn't new. It was built in 2016, and in all honesty, it's a very nice, tidy rifle. It's on sale via theGunLocker in Stafford. And what can I say about it? Well, one of the reasons why I picked this rifle to review is that in many ways it's similar to the Daystate, and I just thought to myself, you know what, the Daystate, the Huntsman Regal, which is what I've just reviewed, was built in 2015. This is built in the same sort of period of 2016. Similar rifles, let's put them together and see which one performs best. Both .177, so why not? I'll tell you now that having a look at the rifle, again, because of the weather, we had what, 16 inches drop a couple of days ago of snow, that is, and it's still on the ground. I think we've got about 10 inches left, so it is thawing, which is great news, but because of the weather I've not been able to shoot it. And it will be interesting to see just how well it performs. Now, let me give you a little bit of history behind Air Arms. So basically it's a company that's based in Hailsham, East Sussex, and it came about in the early 1980s, and it wasn't until 1988 that they decided to build a PCP, a pre-charged pneumatic rifle. As a result of the success of that decision, they then went into CNC machinery. So that's computer numerical, let me get this right, computer numerically controlled production machinery. And that allowed them to take it up a notch. You know, they improved the quality, and they started using that equipment for not only PCPs but the spring piston rifles as well. Air Arms are still regarded as one of the top manufacturers, and you know, they are a favourite for many shooters out there. Now, this particular model, the S510, well, that's basically part of the S5 Sporter group, and that comes in many guises. Now, I'm looking down at the cheat sheets here because there are just so many, so I'm going to read these out to you. You've got the S500, the S510, the S510 XS, the S510 XS Extra, it's getting harder now, the S500 SS Extra, the S510 Tactical, the S510 TDR/TDR-R, and generally speaking, when you put an R on the end of it, it means it's regulated. The S510 XS TDR and the S510 TC. So yeah, there's quite a lot of variants there. And this itself, the S510 Carbine, also comes in a number of variants. So you can get it with a beach stock, you can get it with a beach stock in basically three colours, which is your natural, your hunter green and your traditional brown, and then you can get it in a walnut stock, which is obviously the natural wood colour, but then you've got that in a thumb hole version as well. So price wise, these are still in production, and they retail, if I had a look at Air Arms' website this morning actually, they retail new for just short of £1,000, so £999 in the UK. This model being used, including the scope and the moderator, is being sold for £825. So it's not a bad resale value, and it's held its money, you know, very well, considering that it was built in 2016. Does it perform as new? Well, in my mind, so long as it puts pellet in pellet at 30 meters, then I'll be very, very happy. And I did, like I said to you at the start of this, I thought I would put it up against the Daystate Huntsman Regal, because they're both very similar rifles. They both have Manelli stocks. So it would be interesting to see how this performs against that one. Now, this is the design and build part of the review, so obviously two parts to it. Second part being accuracy and performance. And as I haven't actually shot this rifle as yet, because I'm waiting for that break in the weather, I'm waiting for that snow to fall, I'm having to go on what I can see and what I can feel. First glance, it's all put together very nicely, and you know, it's got a Manelli stock, and they are lovely stocks. So yeah, I'm going to give you some tech specs. You know, I'll give you specifications on the rifle. I'll go through all of that, and then I'll rate it out of 5 stars as I normally do. And when I give you those ratings, just please bear in mind it is with a caveat that I haven't shot this rifle. So at the end of the day, if it doesn't shoot straight, then everything that I'm about to say is basically going to be thrown out the window. That aside, let's crack on. So currently this rifle is available in 2 calibers. You've got the .177 and the .22. I haven't got any FAC figures on this one, the full power figures on it. I just thought to myself, when it comes to the accuracy and performance test, I'll run it over the chrono and I'll see how it performs, and I may as well give you those figures. I can tell you that from the butt pad to the muzzle, it's 945 millimeters long, or 37.2 inches. The barrel length is 395 millimeters, or 15.6 inches, and this is a little bit deceiving because the barrel ends roughly here within the shroud. I've not taken the shroud off. I did take the moderator off, and I shone a light down to see what was going on, and there are some sort of gubbings in this end of the shroud. But like I say, it's not my rifle, so I don't like to dismantle things if I don't have to. What else can I say? Yeah, the barrel's machine rifled. Can't tell you what twist it is, and obviously it has a shroud. Now the shroud length is 455 millimeters, or 17.9 inches, and its diameter is 19.78 millimeters, which is just short of an inch, 0.8 of an inch. So again, it's not a very heavy shroud. And like the Daystate Huntsman Regal, I think it's right that it isn't too big, because it balances out nicely with the style of the rifle. Anyway, let's crack on. So with regards to sound moderator, obviously this has got one that's integral. It does come undone at this point here. The interesting thing about the moderator though is it's not on a 1/2 inch UNF, it's actually got a screw thread to it. So if I can undo this, bear with me a little bit, and this rifle is perched precariously on this tripod, so I don't want to knock it too much. It hasn't got any sling studs fitted to the fore end, so I can't put a bipod on it. But there you go. So that's the moderator. A little bit unusual in its design. It looks nicely shaped. How it perform, again, that will come together with the accuracy and performance test. So we'll see what it's like with and without the moderator. Whilst I screw that back on, what have we got here? So the reach from the butt to the trigger is 365 millimeters or 14.4 inches. I'm just going to try and balance this again, and hopefully it won't fall over. So yeah, from butt to trigger is 14.4 inches, and the center of balance from butt is 510 mils, so it's round about here where my finger is. Let me just make sure. Yeah, so it's about there, and that's nice. You know, it's whenever you put this on a rest, it's going to kind of sit there securely, and you know that you've got a good chance of having a steady shot. So I like that. Hey, it's balancing. Now, the cylinder itself, 156cc, it has a max fill pressure of 200 bar, but a recommended fill pressure of 190 bar. So not as high as a lot of the other PCPs that are out there. And with regards to shot count, in the .177 you're going to get about 70 shots, and in .22 you're going to get about 90 shots, and that's taken from Air Arms' website. So again, I'm going to test that theory out in part 2. So it's not regulated, it doesn't have a carbon bottle, it doesn't have a plenum, it doesn't have the adjustable hammer spring or a transfer port, so there's none of that to contend with. So it's a very simple design, and it comes in at 2.8 kilos or 6.17 pounds. So you know, that's unscoped. Yeah, it's not a heavy rifle, but it feels planted. You know, when you do put it in a rest, it does feel quite nice, I have to say. I've already mentioned the price. So this is currently on sale for £825, and for that you obviously get the rifle, you get this scope, which is a Nico Sterling, you get a fill connector, and you get a rotary magazine. So that's that out of the way. Right, onwards. What else can I tell you? So with regards to spec, that's about it. With regards to the rating system, obviously I'm going to talk about aesthetics, ergonomics, and then we go on to build quality. And with regards to aesthetics, do you know what? I do like the rifle, so I've scored it 3.5 out of 5 stars. I've not scored it as high as the Huntsman Regal, and one of the main reasons for that is, although this has got a lovely stock, and it is an ambidextrous stock, you can see there's a cheek swell on both sides of the rifle. What I don't like about the looks of the rifle is all of this here. It's a bolt-on. It's used to cycle the magazine, so when you cock the rifle and you start to draw back the lever, there is a mechanism that actually helps to rotate the magazine. And in my mind, it just looks like a bit of a bolt-on. So yeah, if you can see that, it just looks clumsy. So yes, as a traditional sporting looking rifle, I do like the looks of it, but I don't like what's going on up here. And I'll talk about that a little bit more in detail. Balanced. Hey. Right, so yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. And again, with regards to aesthetics, it is a really personal thing, a personal opinion. You might really like the look of it. You know, there are probably people out there that are screaming at me saying, shut up about the chassis, you know, there's nothing wrong with that. There are probably a lot of people out there that like tactical style rifles, and again, this won't be for them. They might think this slightly old-fashioned. But, you know, for me the saving grace is the stock. It's a Manelli stock. Again, not quite as detailed as the Daystate, but it's still a very, very nice stock nonetheless, and it's finished nicely. Feels good in the hand. You know, the walnut, there's a very tight grain on that. It feels like quality, you know, when you pick something up and you just think, yeah, that feels good. It doesn't feel light or as if it could do with a drink of oil. It just is sound. What else can I say about aesthetics? Well, I think the balance overall is good. You know, the fact that the shroud, I've mentioned this previously, isn't oversized. It suits the fact that it's got a cylinder. The barrel band, or the barrel strap, it's okay. Everything is, you know, everything else looks alright. So, yeah, 3.5 out of 5 stars. Now that leads me on to ergonomics. Excuse me. Again, with this sort of traditional sporting rifle, it's never going to score high, just because there isn't the adjustability in the stock. But I've given it 3.2 out of 5 stars. And the reason behind that is because it does have an ambidextrous cheek piece. What else has it got here? It's got obviously an ambidextrous grip and multi-position, so you can either shoot it as a wraparound or with thumbs up. It's available in alternate colours. You get the hunter green and you get the traditional brown. And there are laminate stocks available for it. What else have we got there? Yeah, and obviously it's resistant to weather, which is really important. And with regards to the metalwork, you've got an easy reach cocking lever on this side of the rifle. It's unfortunately not ambidextrous, but it's within easy reach. You've got a 2-stage adjustable trigger. You've got a 4-end mounted manometer, so that's nice. It's away from the dangerous end, which is good. What else have we got? Shrouded barrel that accommodates a sound moderator. So the rifle, at the end of the day, has been designed for a function, you know, or to serve a function, should I say. But it doesn't actually allow the shooter to do much to the stock. So you can't adjust the butt pad, you can't pull that in and out, you can't go up and down, you can't adjust the cheek piece. There are no Picatinny rails or accessory rails on the fore end. You know, there's not a lot that you can actually do with the rifle. And again, with regards to the mounts, it's got an 11mm dovetail mount on the top, so it really does restrict you in what you can do with it. And that's why, for ergonomics, it's not going to score as high as a tactical rifle. So from that side, that's about it, except for the fact that when I shoulder it, it does actually fit me better than the Huntsman Regal does. And it's because the butt is just that little bit longer. So it doesn't feel as if it's really, really tight, and it's just got that extra ½ inch, which makes it really comfortable. And it's got a nice wide forend there, which again, for a bigger hand, fits quite nicely. Gives you a lot of control. Yeah, that's nice. That is nice. So for fit, I actually gave the rifle 4 out of 5 stars as part of that category, and that's what brought the overall ergonomics score up to 3.2. Now, with regards to the action and the chassis, again, all of this is just based on me holding the rifle, having a good look at it, but not being able to shoot it, not as yet. So yeah, the caveat is I'll give you my rating, but again, if it doesn't hit that target, it's all a waste of time, really. Anyway, let's talk about the action and the chassis. So the biggest bugbear I have with it is this cycling mechanism that it has. And what I'll do is I'm just going to show you an image of this inside the breech, and that will be popping up just about now. And on that image, what you'll see is that whenever you've got, in my mind, a mechanism that's exposed like that, it's subject to getting dirt trapped, maintenance issues. There's all sorts of things that could possibly go wrong with that, especially if you're out on a winter's day such as today. You might slip, you might fall over, you might get muddy hands. You know, I've been shooting many a times in the woods where you come home absolutely filthy and you look at your hands and they're black, and that can transfer from the mag to the mechanism, so it's going to be awkward to clean. It does have 3 torque screws to the side, so that cover is removable, but again, I've not tried to do that. This isn't my rifle. How easy it is to take apart and clean, I really don't know. But in my mind, it's something that maybe some more design would, you know, wouldn't go amiss. The other thing that I don't like, and this kind of ties in with the safety, but whenever you see an exposed spring which is at the back of the trigger, and it's a very fine spring, you just think to yourself, well, how strong is that? Will it last? Will it need replacement? I don't know. I don't know whether this one has been replaced. Now, the fact is, it was built in 2016. If that's the original spring, then it's doing all right. But again, I don't know how often this rifle has been shot, so there's so many factors that you need to kind of bear in mind. But again, if you've got dirty hands, you know, if you've been out in the woods or on the fields and you've got muck on your gloves, well, that's going to transfer to that spring because it's so near the trigger, it's going to happen. So why they've got that there, I have no idea. I really have no idea. So for the action and the chassis, I've scored it 3.5 out of 5 stars. Again, if you guys have got any opinions on this, please, you know, drop them down in the comments. I'd love to hear from you, because you guys have got more experience than I have. I'm just going on what I can see here, and these are my initial thoughts. With regards to the air system, the barrel, both have scored 4 out of 5, because at the moment I've got nothing to kind of knock off until I've tested it in part 2, so I can't really say, but for now they look secure, they look robust, they look as if they've been put together well, so going on that, yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. Now, where the rifle isn't scoring very well is with regards to its safety. So I've given it 3 out of 5 stars. It's okay, but it could be a lot better, and I really do not like the positioning of it. So the safety is a push through button format, and it actually forms part of the trigger blade, so it's just here. The button is so small that actually you have to feel for it, and it's a simple press of the button. Once it's there, then it's in live fire mode. Now, why it has a red indicator around the button, I've no idea, because you can't see it from your shooting perspective. You just can't see it, everything's hidden by the stock. So it's really, unless you're kind of taking it out of the shoulder and physically looking and then pushing it back in again, it's just a horrible design. I really don't like the idea, and you guys will know if you've seen my previous reviews that I like to have a safety out away from the trigger guard, either up here or behind. You know, it's just makes sense to get it away from that trigger. But there you go. Obviously Air Arms have stuck with it, it's still in production, they're still using it today, so as yet they couldn't have had any major issues with it. But in my mind, I still think it takes just one accident and then people will be talking, you know. So for me, obviously it's not an auto safety, it's a push button affair, it's by the trigger blade or on the trigger blade itself. For me, I don't like that, and I'm always going to score them low if those safety mechanisms are, you know, within it. It might function well, and it's a very simple system in that it's a cross bolt affairs. So once you've put it into safe mode, it physically prevents the trigger from being drawn back, because the groove that the trigger sits in is blocked, so it can't go any further. But yeah, guys, please get your safeties out from within the trigger guard. Yeah, I just get them out from there. So we're basically left with stock and sundries. So the stock, a Manelli stock, you know, what can I say? It does ooze quality. It's very well made. It's shaped lovely. The walnut, the actual material itself has been graded. It's just stood the test of time. It's a very nice bit of woodwork, and I've scored it 4 out of 5. In my mind, it's not as pretty as the Daystate Huntsman Regal, because they've not done as much work on it with regards to the engraving or the checkering and the embossing work. And the AA on the side of the pistol grip here isn't quite as fancy as the R on the Huntsman Regal and the Revere now. So yeah, 4 out of 5 stars. It's a brilliant score, it really is. And then finally we come to sundries. So with this rifle, I'm not going to talk about the scope, because that's a completely different issue, but it is included within the sale. I will be talking about things such as the rotary magazine and the fill connector. So the annoying thing about this is it is specific to Air Arms' rifle, and if you've got several PCPs, you're going to be screwing this in and out of your whip, you know, and swapping it over. So it's a little bit annoying. The fact that it's got a male end is going to go straight into the whip, or you buy a adapter to convert that into a female end, and then maybe you can put that into a PCP, into a quick release connector. But yeah, it's something that could be better. However, it's robust, and once it's on, and it's basically, there is, I don't know if you can see that, there's a horizontal slot there, so when that goes on the system and you turn it down, that's locked into place, so it can't then come out. So it's good, it's strong, but it's unique to this particular type of rifle. Got a nice cover on the filler port there, by the way. And also the rotary mag, well, that actually works with the mechanism that I've had a chat about already, and it's, yeah, it does the job. There's nothing really to fall out with. It's not sprung loaded, it's not spring loaded in any way, so you can move it backwards and forwards, no problem. Less to go wrong, I suppose. So for both sundry items, 4 out of 5. What else am I going to give it? Anyway guys, that's it for part 1 of this 2-part review. I hope you've enjoyed it. It's been short and sweet, as was the last one. Please, if you haven't already done so, you know, subscribe, give us a thumbs up, share amongst your friends and family. It all helps. And don't forget, if you've got a rifle, or you know, to sell, or you're looking to buy one, or you're looking to buy some sporting accessories, shooting accessories, pop over to our website www.thegunlocker.uk. And there are items being added to that daily. So excuse me, I just got distracted by a rabbit that's running outside of my window there. Anyway, yeah, so that's it, guys. Hope you enjoyed it, and I look forward to seeing you in part 2. Bye for now.